Oh, hi. Welcome back to my channel. You caught me at a weird time because I'm getting ready to interview Tomi Adeyemi. Yeah, in like 30 minutes. And right now I look like the damn peanut butter baby. This video is so special because we are going to be interviewing the one and only Tomi Adeyemi. If you don't know who this is, she is the author of the Legends of Orisha series, but more specifically, you probably know her from Children of Blood and Bone, but that is the name of the entire series. It's so good. It just got picked up by Paramount Pictures to be a screen adaptation. She's doing open casting for her movie, so be on the lookout for that. But I had the opportunity and blessing to interview her. She is so sweet and so kind. And I don't really know how this opportunity came about, but here we are. So, yeah, here is the interview of me and Tomi Adeyemi. I never thought I'd be able to say that, but I hope you guys enjoy.
Yes, I can. Okay, hi.
Hi, it's so nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Your background is insane in the best way.
Thank you so much. I put a lot of effort into it for YouTube purposes mainly.
Yeah, it's really cool. I love it. I feel like I'm
Thank
in your corner.
Thank you. I'm glad it gives that vibe. So it's such an honor to meet you. I am so happy I got this opportunity. It's an honor for sure.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
So I was doing like a lot of research. Congratulations, by the way.
Thank
Like what
you.
you've accomplished is so amazing and being picked up by Paramount, incredible. But I
Thank
do have some
you.
questions for
Yeah,
you.
I can't wait to hear your questions.
Okay, let me set this up better so I can read it. Okay. Mm-mm-mm. So, my first question would be what were your main inspirations, both from real life and any fictional stories, when you went into writing this?
Ooh, love that. Every time that happens, my like TikTok brain goes, "Oh my goodness, I love this question." Um, I grew up on anime. I
Okay.
am a I still believe I would still argue the best storytellers are anime creators, manga creators. I actually studied Japanese for 2 years at college because I was like, maybe if I learn to speak their language, I can understand why they are such great storytellers. So I grew up, and that I did not learn from that. The language was very hard, but like that's how much I was just like to be a great storyteller. Like this is that's the sensei.
Mhm.
Um, Naruto was huge for me. Bleach was huge for me. Death Note.
Mm,
Adulthood, Attack on Titan is the thing that's rocked me the hardest. I haven't even made it like I think I'm still on like season 3 or something. Um, just brilliant storytelling. And then I even feel like Avatar: The Last Airbender is American anime.
mhm,
It very much feels that way to me. It sits in a different category than the golden age of Disney and like Pixar and all. I was like, that's animation, but I was like, Avatar had a very anime feel, but it was American, it was distinct. So those stories had a big influence on me. I wrote so much Naruto fan fiction growing up. So I feel like when people are like, why are your scenes so violent? And I'm like, well, when I was six, I was like, well, in sixth grade, I was just in my room and being like, and then six Kanai flew through the window and hit her butt
mhm.
in the chest. And that's when she found out he betrayed her family. So yeah, I was like, I think
Right.
seeing all that violence and slow motion blood definitely had an effect. And
Mhm,
yeah, I just love the stories. I love the worlds. I love the intensity of the worlds. I love that these stories take places in worlds that are not safe, but worlds that are still beautiful and the ones you want to live in and have your own character in. So primary, those were like my childhood influences. I would really give it to Naruto and Avatar: The Last Airbender. And then on the literature side, I read An Ember in the Ashes by Sabaa Tahir, and that book changed my life changed my life. I always tell Saba, like, I am one of your embers, and like, look at everything I've set on fire. So it, I never read a book like that. I never read a book like that, a fantasy like that, something where it's like we don't have to go through a portal to get into this world. We just are in this world, dual POV, such intensity, so sexy, so
Mm-hmm.
big, so explosive, and also rooted in real world trauma and tragedies and things that Saba was reading about at that time at the Washington Post, maybe writing about, copy editing about, and then bringing that into the story world. So that had a profound impact on me and my life in this series. And then my the real world, it's sometimes you're like, what do I call this? I was like, issues feel so small. I guess the real world heartbreak that came into the world of Children of Blood and Bone specifically was growing up in this, what ended up being 8 years of having a really intense national and then global spotlight on police brutality. Um,
Right.
it was, I was writing this book in 2016. So at that time of my life, it'd been 4 years. It
Mm-hmm.
started with Trayvon Martin, I believe February of 2012, and then it just continued. And there were more names and more names and more videos and protests and this. And I felt very, what I thought my country was broke. Um, my sense of safety was completely taken away on both ends, being sent, but it's like, okay, if I'm in trouble, who do I call? And then also now being afraid of who I've been taught is there to protect me, seeing all that violence and like seeing that violence like here, it's like I always remind people, like, the iPhone is maybe 20 years old. We don't know what it is yet to be a human race that is talking like this. I don't necessarily think we're the first civilization in human history to have this technology, but in recent times, I was like, kind of since for a few thousand years, we don't know what it's like to be connected this way and to see things and to see both beautiful things, like a happy, like, da-da-da, bruh, like the little bird video that keeps going around on
Uh-huh.
TikTok right now. I was like, that's funny. That's so cute. It makes me happy to see little donkey. Like, I get a lot of animal joy from TikTok.
Right.
I also get a lot of trauma. When I go into schools right now, it's about Hurricane Milton. We're seeing the
Right.
actual devastation from people who I'm like, how are you getting this video? Are you still there? I don't think you should be there. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so we're seeing that. When I was going into school this fall, I was like, I know you're in your rooms at night crying because you're seeing Bisan's videos. So it's just like we're face to face with, and it's not just that, it's Congo, it's Sudan, it's like we're face to face with the traumas of the world in a way. It's going to take psychologists probably a century to really understand the effect, but I know it is affecting us and I know it is hurting us. So for me, it was that very private pain that I felt
Right.
I couldn't talk about. Is anybody having actual like panic attacks, anxiety attacks in their car when they're just trying to go to like CVS and get some jelly beans? Is anyone else crying themselves to sleep every night? Like, I felt so much and I didn't feel, I never felt the external. There was place to share outrage, but I didn't feel the place to share heartbreak. Um, and so this book, while being this on one hand a combination of everything I love as a creator, everything I loved up to that point, everything I was inspired by, that was on one hand. On the other hand, it was like, this is what's in my heart, and I need to get it out of my heart, and I need to say something. And if the idea at that point was if just one person reads it and this person grows up and becomes a cop and thinks twice before shooting someone like Philando Castile, like I would have done something. And now it's like 3 million people have read this series globally. Now it's like we're casting, we're location scouting. We have Academy Award-winning production designers and like pop cultural phenomenon like costume design, like showing me Amari's like first look and all, it's insane and it continues to grow and grow and grow. So yeah, it's wild. It's like I say these things to you and then I'm also kind of reflecting in real time and being like, this is so insane. Um, Maybe insane is the wrong word. This is so massive. This is supernaturally massive. Yeah.
Yeah,
Ah,
especially as a person of color, seeing you become like this huge fantasy author, it's so underrepresented. I imagine during the time of book talk, like the pandemic time, that might have been like pretty overwhelming for authors, like especially you, like as a person of color being an author and getting so much love and like all of a sudden this book talk thing is like helping bookstores, helping authors, making number ones, like it just really came out of nowhere. And I know it reignited my love for reading. I don't know if it added to like your passion for writing at all.
that is such a good question. Okay, you're killing it. Um, it's funny because I was social media shy, and you might not expect that given my content.
Mhm.
And I say past tense because I really think everything is a comfort level. But I kind of just saw it as a place to be burned at the stake. I'm like, I
They
have
love
lots
you. They
of
love you.
thoughts. But I instead of tweeting them, I send them to my brother. I'm like, and he's always like, I'm gonna tweet these. I was like, these are just for you. I was like, the world's missing out because some funny-ish comes out of this head. Um, but it was literally, I was like, do I have to be on social media? And they're like, yes. And I was like, okay. And then my agent was like, you have to be on Book Talk. And I was like, and then I'm like, okay, it's work, it's work, it's work. I can work. I can work. The idea of like, I'm just gonna make videos and put myself out there. What I have found though, I love Book Talk because I'm like, well, I love TikTok in general. I was like, it's animals and it's thirst traps and it's books. It's like,
Mhm.
I'm hot, read my book. I'm hot, read my book. New CapCut template, read my book. Like, it's funny, it's random. It feels very communal to me. It
Mhm.
feels very like you take all of us and you put us around a bonfire and we just decide to be like, wait, they don't love you like I love you. It's like this week, they don't love you like I love you. This week, we're demure. This week, what's your contrast? This
Right.
week, and I'm like, I kind of just like the flow. It feels like a current, it feels like a flow. And in terms of specifically my readers, I love them. And I actually really enjoy it now because I get to connect with my readers in a very visceral way.
Hmm.
And like whether it's they make a video, whether they comment, it feels like I get to see my readers not just every couple years at a book tour, at a book event, but like we really, really, really get to connect. And I think
Right.
what's beautiful about Fish or TikTok is it's the randomness of it, which allows you to be a little goofier, a little more open, a little more, it's not like a curated gallery like some other social media platforms. Like I can post a video and it can get 200,000 views or it could get 20 views. Those are
Hmm.
20, if one of those people like buys my book, that's insane.
Right.
Insane. So it's especially like it being an app that's primarily for discovery and then over time you can build this following and community. I find that to be great and I'm excited for it, especially because like what if like the Stephanie Meyer had TikTok? I mean, Stephanie Meyer had Facebook, the author of Twilight, and she is kind of the author. I don't even want to say kind of. She is the author that revolutionized how young adult authors interact with their communities.
Right.
She
Yeah.
was having Facebook groups. She was having like sleepovers and like Twilight proms in Arizona, I think. And so the idea of, okay, this is the Facebook right now. And like I can take you guys on set. I can take you guys to cast dinners. I can
You can cast through there.
yeah, it's like we can like really be, because some of these people, some of my readers, they've been with me and they've been on this journey with me till like since 2016 when the news of this book went viral. Some people just got on the journey today. So the idea that we're gonna ride this together and we're gonna show up at Comic-Con and we're gonna show up at screenings and like community is beautiful and something that's unique about the community that builds when a story is in book form is like everyone goes on their very individual relationship with the story and then they all come together. And like when I do a book event and I see like a group of two or three girls and I'll be like, oh my God, are you guys besties? And they're like, we just met here. And I'm like, stop. Like
Mm.
so like the community comes together, and when we're watching this franchise in the film, it's like the community is in the theater, it's in the room, we're experiencing the same story together with the same
Mhm.
heartache, the same, literally second by second, we're locked in together, and that's its own intense community. So the the community that will be there at the end of this journey, because it's always strongest in the beginning. I was like, you can reboot this thing in 20 years, but it's going to be the OGs that were like,
Right.
oh, you had to be there. You don't even, well, you don't know nothing about that. I was
Mhm.
like, you got your, let me not talk shit about any other franchise before I get in trouble.
Um,
Yeah.
Okay, so going back to the question about if you had any inspiration, I know so I had read these books, and then what really stuck out to me was the hair of the diviners. So I was watching House of Dragon, right? I don't know if you've watched that, but these African people come in with like beautiful white locks, and I'm like, that's diviners, that's them. That's exactly what I imagine like they're going to be like in this adaptation. So I was wondering what your thoughts are in relation to the diviner's hair and real life black hair politics and what surrounds that.
Yes. Yes. Our hair is a monumental part of our identity, both personally, when it's just you in the mirror and a 12-hour detangling day,
Right,
you're dehydrated and you're hungry and you're like, I'm gonna cut it all off, but I don't think I can pull off being bald. It's
right.
so internal, it's such a journey. And then on the other side, it's such a sometimes like an unexplainable, it's political. It's so frequently an attack on our identity and on who we're allowed to be.
Right.
It is quite insane to be, it's quite insane to be like, oh, you have brown eyes, you can't have brown eyes. So what I need you to do is I need you to pour acid into your eyes every 4 to 6 weeks so that they're a different color, because that's just simply not allowed. That's not professional. That's distracting. Like that is the equivalent. That is literally the equivalent. So you have your own personal hair journey, be it straight, relaxed, natural, braids, locks, faux braids, crochet, like goddess, it's you. I think hair is most beautiful when it is our hair is most beautiful when it is this incredible expression that is also allows us to not spend all of our time thinking or doing our hair.
Hmm.
you know because there are so many beautiful things you can do, and like I'm really happy to say, like when I started my journey I had an afro. I posted this TikTok the other day because I was like, oh my gosh, this says a lot, but it's like, okay, it's the before I started my journey,
Oh, wow.
and then versus like
Yeah,
after
and that takes time.
certain.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a journey, and my hair is an expression. And like, sometimes people like like non-African people, non-African American people will be like, oh, what is this? Like, does that mean something? And I'm like, yes. I was like, every strand of hair in my head means something.
Right.
I was like, every wrapping means something, every charm. And sometimes I'm like, it's the charms you see and the charms you don't see. It all means something. So like for me, my hair, and I'm a Leo sun, so it's like beautiful. This is my lion's mane. But this lion's mane for me does not just make me feel beautiful, it allows me to sleep, shower, go to an event, swim in the sea. It's freedom, it's emancipation. So I think my if I wrote a treatise on hair, I was like, your hair is a crown. So whether you do something like this or whether you're braiding it every 6 weeks or something, it's like take care of that crown, choose a style that empowers you and emancipates you to live your life. You just cannot be doing your hair every day. You got taxes to pay.
Hmm.
I was like, unless you're a hair influencer, no one's paying you to detangle your hair. Like that's why I locked up. It was because I couldn't do one more 6 to 12 hour detangling day. I said, no
Yeah.
one's paying me for this, but someone's paying me to write. I need to make a big adjustment. So that's when I locked my natural growth, and I love it. I really love it. So it's a mix of that. It's find your own personal journey, and it still bothers me that there's places where, again, would you ask me to pour acid into my eyes every 4 to 6 weeks because they're brown? Because
Right.
that's what you're asking when you're expelling students from schools, not even students, children, when you're policing hairstyles in the workplace, all those things. So those things you can tell they very much irritate me, but I like to come back to like find the journey of your hair emancipation, where you see and feel the beauty in it, where you feel beautiful in your own skin and you're just able to do everything you want to do in this world with it. And with the books, the hair reflects the magic. So when they don't have their magic, Zaylee's hair was bone straight. And as her magic starts to come back, it gets curlier and curlier and coilier and coilier until she has this big mane, which then she literally needs to braid because she can't be in all these battles with this like untangled. She can't be detangling every 3 months.
Hmm.
Okay, so she'll be like, Amari, braid that ish. She's like, make it nice. I got the king, like lay those edges. So it's even in my fantasy world, I'm like, hey, she would braid her hair for this because she's going through a lot. She can't have it all out there like that. The tangles, the this, believe me. So like I love how in the third book she has these like micro braids. I'm like, that's sick. And like I love this summer how it's like everyone had like the honey braids. And so
Hmm.
when it's like Zaylee time, I'm like, we all walk in with those like silver braids and the gray braids, like gray faux locks. It's just gonna, I was like, Barbie wore pink. We're gonna have our hair.
Hmm. No, I love that. You definitely made it a symbol of power, and
Yes.
that's amazing. Okay, so I do want to talk a bit about the screen adaptation. I
Yeah.
was wondering what your main hopes were for it, because I know sometimes the author's vision can be lost in translation.
The beautiful thing is I'm integral in this process. So I'm not just a part of this process as the creator of the original trilogy, as the creator of the IP. I'm a co-writer of the screenplay. Gina Prince Bythewood and I were collaborating all the time. We're talking all the time. We talk casting, we talk design, we talk like location, we talk accent, we talk scenes. Like we're this is this the latest draft? I think this is the latest draft, and it's in pink binders. It's like notes, we go back and forth. So my greatest hope, because I am so involved and then I'm also executive producing, I don't have to have specific hopes for like, oh, I hope they get this scene right or this character or this or this or this. It's like I'm in the weeds with them and I'm creating with them. My greatest hope is that people view this movie as the cinematic achievement that it is. It's very easy, when I came onto the scene, people said the next J.K. Rowling. It's when I started writing this book, Black Panther didn't exist. So it's like people have things that they think are kind of like cinematic ancestors to this. But when I read the last script, I was like, I haven't felt this way since, what was it, 2010, being in a large IMAX theater watching the first Blue People Avatar.
Right. That's amazing.
Exactly. Yeah. So I'm like, I want people to view the movie through the entire world of cinema and be like, wow, I haven't felt that way since we visited Pandora. Because that's truly where this movie sits for me. And I think that is not just a gift to those who love stories. Like I am a lover of story first and foremost. It's also a gift to our people because we're relegated oftentimes, or it's like, oh, okay, this movie has a black female lead and a black male lead, so this is a black comedy. And I was like, or is it just a comedy? You know, I think something like American Fiction by Cord Jefferson, huge triumph. I'm so happy that it got the recognition that it deserved, and you know that Jeffrey Wright was nominated for an Oscar for leading man, that Cord Jefferson won the Oscar for original screenplay. Because when I watched that, I was like, yes, that's how I want my people to be seen. Not as this. I was like, this is a family drama. It's a family
Mm.
drama. And it was beautiful. I was like, I think that level of humanity, when we're viewed and treated with that level of humanity from the script level and from the director level, from the lens level, I that's where I want, that's to me the next frontier of representation.
Mm-hmm.
Not just we got this, and this. It's I'm holding Uptown Girls and I'm holding Children of Blood and Bone. Which one do I want to watch?
Right.
Yeah.
No, that's an amazing thing that you're that involved because these are your babies. This is your creation. I always feel so disheartened when like I talked to Anna Todd, the
Yeah.
writer of After, and she told me that she had like no say in the process and she
Yeah.
wasn't happy with how the movies turned out, which sucks because those are your children. You wrote them, you made them.
Yes.
They're from your mind. So I don't understand why they wouldn't involve an author who created it, but I'm glad that you are heavily in the process.
It's a fight. And I'll tell for any aspiring creators who are watching this, for people who dream of having their stuff on screen, I'm like, get yourself a warrior team, but also have the confidence in yourself.
Right.
Because it's very easy for it to be like, well, we've been doing this for 30 years and like, hi cutie, you just got there. You can't show up like that. You got to
Hmm.
show up like someone who knows who the fuck they are and knows what the fuck they can do.
Yeah.
And it's not easy. I was like, sometimes you don't feel like that, but do the pep talk in the mirror and then get on the Zoom and say yes.
Right, like Issa Rae.
Exactly. I was like, I'm not saying, and like eventually you will be like, okay, I'm not faking anymore. But like, even now, I'm still pushing myself artistically and doing things that I'm stepping into for the first time. And I'll have natural nerves, natural this. What is this? There's a TikTok creator right now having a creative challenge, which is like just do it like a villain.
Mhm.
And I was like, that's such a good thing. Whenever I'm like, even when I had to figure out the technical difficulties, I was like, do it like a villain. A villain has conviction. A villain won't fail. A villain will find her way into her own Zoom. And, you know, so
Right,
I'm like, do it like a villain. Treat yourself seriously, treat yourself with respect, and others will too. And get a good lawyer.
right. That's great advice. If you're still looking for an Amari, I'd be open. I am mixed race.
Yes, love that.
So I wanted to know your process of developing the characters, and did you also feel like when you're writing the characters, did they have like a mind of their own where you're like, oh, you're gonna do that? Okay.
Hmm. There, this is a very interesting character. This is a very interesting question for me. When it comes to the trilogy, in a way, they come fully formed, but then there's a big process of discovery.
Hmm.
For me, one of my favorite scenes in the entire trilogy is in book two. Spoiler, this is a spoiler for book two. So I'll do this when the spoiler's over, all right? Spoiler. Uh, Amari has just tried to take the throne, and an enemy that she knows appears, accuses her of regicide, and basically makes her Orisha's most wanted. So what was
Mhm.
supposed to be a day of union, a day of Amari taking her place on Orisha's rightful throne after a harrowing journey, the first step for a better Orisha, what was supposed to be the this is why we went through all the things we went through in book one, turns into the worst day ever, and they're left, our main crew is left with nothing. And so
Mhm.
after this, after they manage to escape all this chaos, Zaylee and Amari go at it. That was a discovery for me, and I was like, oh, it's my favorite scene.
Mhm.
It's my favorite scene. There's a lot of battle. There's a lot of physical battle, and that's fun, that's exciting. And like I mentioned Naruto, I've been writing Naruto fan fiction. Like I wrote literally 300 pages of Naruto fan fiction,
Wow.
episode one to like episode 52, 53. I got to the tuning exams, and all I did was add myself to the gang, and then I had to change the world building so that the ninja teams were of four and not three. And I had a cute little house party and like a hot tub scene. I was cute. um but that's all I did. I went through the entire plot with just adding me to the team. So I write battle that comes pretty naturally to me, but emotional battle, character battle, that was new at that time for me, and that's thrilling for me when two when the raw heart of two characters is on display and they're both like losing it and really just emotionally bleeding, but then also just lashing out at each other. Um, I love that.
Mm.
I'm behind the screen and I'm like, this is so popcorn, popcorn. So I would say that's it, because the characters are a discovery for me, but the best discoveries in the trilogy were moments like that.
Mhm.
In book one, when Amari is braiding Zaylee's hair, talk about hair again before they sail to the temple for the final battle. That was a beautiful moment. I love the beautiful character tender moments because these people, what they're going to do, what they're going to come through, but what they're going to go through, but then there's moments where they are, and you're actually more of a witness to it
Mhm.
than the organizer, the orchestrator of it. So those were the moments that really, really touched me.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I love the way you write, by the way, because it was very like chapter one was like action, like this is happening. Oh no, her dad is drowning. Spoilers, so I forgot. But it's just like every chapter was something to look forward to. And as far as fantasy goes, I like that was one of my first fantasy reads. And it just felt like, in comparison to others, like no shade to any specific series, but there's too much world building and not enough action. So, like, the first book will be a mainly world building, and we know nothing about the characters, what they're going through. We just, okay, now I understand the magic system. But I like the way you did it because you explain it at the same time.
Yeah,
Like basically, like the main character, like, we got to do something. You can learn this along the way with us, but like,
exactly.
how the sparklets go.
Thank
I
you.
love
I'm
it.
similar. I get lost when you're like, and then on the fourth eve of the ninth day of Patron, there was two cows, and this cow was this, and because of this, and I'm like, I'm gonna take a nap, man. I can't do this. I can't have you yelling random things at me.
Right. My best comparison, I always talk about when there's too much description in Stephen King's It, there's an entire chapter dedicated to where Billy got this one nickel that he used for a bike. And I was just like, I understand, but we don't need it. So I love getting right into it. Okay, this is my last question.
Okay.
So representation of African cultures as a Nigerian author is obviously very important to you. So I
Yeah.
wanted to talk about the African representation, how important it was to get it accurate and make Africans feel seen in these books.
Yeah, so I'm first generation Nigerian. My parents came from Nigeria. I was the first one in my family born in America. So my West African culture, my Nigerian culture, my Yoruba culture, that's something that's just very ingrained in me. I haven't known anything else. Um,
Hmm.
and then, but I was born in America. And so my American culture is also something that's ingrained in me. I haven't known anything else. And so I'm very specific when, when they're like, oh, tell us your bio. And it's like, I don't put Nigerian author, I don't put American author, I put like Nigerian American author. Because there's, especially in this trilogy, it very much is the mix. I was talking to
Hmm.
someone and she's like, you set this in a fantastical West African world, but you're writing about American issues. And I'm like, that's my world.
Right.
World. And so I think, Nigeria as a country, as a artistic birthplace, has its own canon of incredible, iconic like authors. America has its own canon of incredible, iconic African American authors, Toni Morrison, Octavia Butler. And so to sit in between the two, to sit in between like a Chimamanda Adichie and a Toni Morrison, like it's a for me, I find it a beautiful place to be. I find it a really beautiful place to be. It's like it's not I stand on the shoulders of giants. It's like I get to occupy this space with giants. And I recognize it and I see my own lane. It's like I don't write like Toni Morrison writes because there's a different there's a different experience. It's as a writer, you bring yourself to the page, whether that be even if you're writing about something completely different, you're in it. You're in it. So something that's always really special for me is when I have Nigerian readers being like, I've never seen Yoruba on the page before. This is so cool. This is like the coolest thing. I feel the same way about readers that practice Orisha-based spiritualities when they're like, I've never seen Ifa this way. I've never seen Santeria this way. I've never seen my spirituality depicted in such a beautiful, divine, and powerful way. Thank you. So it's always very important to me that people feel that whether it's a part of me or something that really inspired me and took me on a journey, I want those people to feel elevated and respected, even like down to our hair. That's why it's like, okay, I need you guys to know that Zaylee has cornrows, you know,
Right.
it's bust down cornrows. She's still giving
Mhm.
the drama, but she's giving the practicality. It's like, I want you to feel seen because it's not just ponytails and this at what we're doing with our hair is as important to being washed up on a beach as like as what kind of magic this character is doing. It's important to us. It's important to our identities. And then there's so many beautiful things that can be done with that. So yeah, it's I would say it's an I don't want to say it's an honor. I was like, that sounds very pageanty. It's something I think about deeply. And at this point in my career, I also think the revolution is like just representing yourself,
Right.
telling these stories, sharing my humanity, knowing I would do that whether people were reading or not is powerful for me. And then having those things embraced is it's beautiful. But I've taken whatever mantles anyone might try and put on me, it's like I'm an artist and I'm pursuing my artistry.
Right.
I was like, if that works for you, great. If it doesn't work for you, great. Truly, you're irrelevant to this process. And that's how I honor myself. And I think, especially as Black creatives, as diverse creatives, allowing yourself to be an artist. I was like, treat me the way you would treat Aaron Sorkin and pay me the way you would pay Aaron Sorkin. Whatever
Exactly.
title you want to put that, but I am an artist and I am here to do my art.
Yeah, and look at you. You have gone to this level of success and is truly an inspiration to other Black creatives out there who want what you have. So, congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time. It was a pleasure talking to you. And I hope that people watch your screen adaptations, love it, go read the books, and then love it again. I
There
hope that
you go.
happens. I really hope it reaches more people because it definitely deserves it.
I appreciate that. Thank you, Rocky. I hope you have a great day.
You too.
Bye.
Girl, you know we got things to do, so get your ass in the car.